You know, when people hire a trainer, let's say you pay for 10 sessions with a trainer. Out of those 10 sessions, how many of those sessions are working with exercise and the machines and sets and a program? And how many of those sessions are talking about your eating habits and eating? Well, for most trainers that you hire, you're going to do probably 9 of the sessions working on the equipment and showing you how to use the equipment and your sets and your reps and your program and your cardio. And maybe one session you sit down and talk about eating. But the fact of the matter is, a person needs more help with their eating habits. Exercise habits are much easier to develop than changing eating habits. Eating habits are a part of our emotional structure. Eating is our tool of choice to get the feelings and to experience the emotions of pleasure that we all need. Stressful day, stressful life, the easiest way that we get pleasure is through eating. So it becomes really bound up emotionally in our lives. And yet, when we hire a trainer, we spend the majority of the time learning how to exercise and not learning how to change our eating habits. So this is so important that you consider getting someone in your life to help you with your eating habits. Because for the most part, there's a ton of confusion out there. The roadblocks to your success have to do with your eating habits and what you're currently doing. We all know this, right? They fall into 3 categories. The first category is what we know is standing in our way. These are things like habits that you probably aren't proud to share with anybody. You wouldn't even want to share with anybody. Maybe you're always eating some sort of junk food in the middle of the night, or before bed you're always having a bowl of ice cream, or you're eating a high-calorie breakfast going through the McDonald's drive-thru every morning because you're addicted to that certain breakfast sandwich. And we know this is standing in our way, but we just have such a hard time breaking these habits in our lives. So for the most part, we try to ignore them or justify them in some way. The second thing, what we think could be in our way. There's a ton of information out there. It's ridiculous. It's overwhelming and confusing for the average person. Someone says fruit is good for you. Someone says fruit is not good for you. Someone says coffee is okay. Someone says get rid of caffeine. Someone says orange juice is just fine. Someone says don't drink orange juice. There's so much confusion out there as far as eating that the average person just gets confused, so they're not sure exactly what could be in their way as far as getting to the eating habits that we need to be successful and live in a healthy body. The third one. The category we never knew that was hindering us. It was a roadblock in our way to success. You know, I've been drinking a glass of orange juice before bed since I was 3 years old. My mom said it was healthy. I've been doing it forever. I thought it was healthy. No, it's 400 calories and 40 carbs right before going to bed. Probably is a roadblock for you in getting to living in that healthy body that you want. So a lot of times we have things in our life that we swear are healthy. I never knew this. I can't believe that's not healthy. But someone else might know. So it's important that we get help in regard to all 3 of these categories. First one, this one is more emotional help. We know that it's wrong. We've identified this as a roadblock, but we're just struggling getting past this. How do we get past this? And a lot of times for us, anything we're failing at, we'd rather ignore it and not talk about it. So sharing with someone something you're struggling with is difficult to do. And that's why it's so hard that I found working people face to face, one-on-one, is the emotions came up and they didn't want to share with me these things. They hid these things from me. So we'd work on everything else, they'd have these huge roadblocks in their way, and they wouldn't be able to lose the weight. And they'd end up quitting training with me and failing. And I never knew. In fact, I thought there was some strange Martian coming in from overnight and injecting them with more weight or something, because according to them, they were doing everything perfectly. Well, they weren't telling me about these things. They weren't telling me they were drinking a glass of orange juice and you know, whatever before going to bed. The second thing, things that could be, things we're confused about, things we don't know about. Confusion causes lack of action. If you're confused about which way to go, you end up kind of not going anywhere. It's when you know what to do is when you can step forward and go towards your goal. So it's very important that we don't have a lot of confusion, that we can get things ironed out and know what to do exactly. What's the best method? And then the things we never knew. Those are the things that, man, you know, I'm doing everything right, and I'm still not getting the result I want. What's going on here? Oh, I never knew, you know, drinking milk with every meal was probably too many calories to be successful, and I need to get my calcium in some other way. I never knew that. I grew up on a farm. We drink milk with every meal. Big glass of milk. And we drink the whole milk because that's the real milk. Skim milk is like water. Come on. Well, 3 big glasses of whole milk, close to 1,000 calories. Probably a problem. But I never knew that because I thought I was being healthy. So there's things in here that a person needs help with. So the key with finding someone to help you is simply this. You gotta feel comfortable communicating with them. Now, hopefully up to this point, you've learned enough about yourself so that you can be more comfortable in opening up with someone. That you understand your thinking and your brain's thinking versus your thinking. You can understand your beliefs and emotions and detach from those a little bit so that you can have the ability to be comfortable with someone and sharing with them your life and not being embarrassed about it. Because the brain's going to automatically try to go there. It's going to try to justify, hide things, not talk about things. It's very difficult. So it's very important that you find comfort with someone that's helping you with your eating habits. Call that person your eating trainer. We find what's easier, giving someone a phone call, going up to them face to face, and saying something to them, or just shooting them an email or a text. Shooting them an email or a text. In fact, it's gotten to be almost too much because sometimes there's miscommunication there. But that anonymity is so powerful in this regard when working with someone on an emotional subject, because you're not face to face with someone, you're just looking at your computer, and you can share a lot more with someone who's anonymous, who's not right there in the room with you, another human being. It's a computer. You're just sharing something with this friend that you have on the other side of the computer. So it's a lot easier to find comfort with someone like that. So that's why we have people available that can help you at newbodychoice.net. A lot of these folks are either going through the program, have finished the program, or even are coaches themselves that work here that can help you go through those 3 things and help you to be successful, because that's the key. You can develop a love for exercise, but if you got those eating habits that you know are in your way, you're not sure of, or you weren't even aware of, those are the roadblocks that are going to be in your way for success. So it's important that we look at. I want to talk next about identifying your roadblocks. This is such an emotional issue. People don't realize how emotional our eating habits are to us. When being able to identify the eating roadblocks that stand in your way, it takes a strong ability that a lot of people don't have. If a person is struggling with their weight, they've had to develop the ability to not look in the mirror and not see reality for what it is. Because if they did that, it would be painful. So they have taught their brain to ignore those things so that they can live in peace and happiness in their current condition. I hope that makes sense to you and that you can identify that with yourself. That if you're struggling with your body and your weight, the last thing you want to do is take a piece of paper and go, oh, well, here's where I'm screwing up, and here's where I'm screwing up, and this is where I could do better, and this is where I'm really screwing up. Your brain doesn't want to look at those things. Your brain doesn't want to identify those roadblocks you have in your life that you've put there that are keeping you from what you truly want. Your brain will say things like, well, oh, it must be my genetics. It must be, I'm so busy with my life. I've got all these things going on. Well, it's not the fact that you could get up 15 minutes earlier and go exercise. It's not the fact that you could decide Monday through Friday to eat for purpose on a small plate and then save the pleasure eating for Friday. It's not the fact that you drink a large glass of orange juice and have 2 pieces of wheat bread with peanut butter on it at night and think that that's something healthy for you. It's not. So the point I'm trying to make is, in order for you to identify your roadblocks that are standing in your way, it takes a unique strength. And that's why this lesson has come later on in our time together, because hopefully to this point you now know and understand how your brain works. You've identified your beliefs, you've identified your emotions. You're now a much stronger person emotionally, that you can look at your emotions and know they're not you. You can look at your beliefs that your brain has and know that they're not you. You can know the most important belief to have is that I'm not my past. Every day is a new day, and what I choose to do today and what I choose to become tomorrow has nothing to do with who I was yesterday, 5 years ago, or 10 years ago. That's the most important belief that's going to allow you to have the strength to look in the mirror and to see, yeah, this is reality. This is where I am, without running away from it, without your brain spewing out excuses like crazy. And that's what you'll find as you start to look at, okay, you got enough bravery to look at, these are the things that are roadblocks that I'm doing incorrectly right now. I know that I shouldn't be eating this at this time. I know I shouldn't be eating this or doing this as far as my eating habits are concerned. Now the next step, what you'll hear when you identify those things, is your brain will automatically do what? It goes away from pain and towards pleasure. So it's going to automatically start justifying those things like crazy. Now you don't want to get caught up in an emotion. So for example, let's say you identify that you're having a large glass of orange juice and 2 slices of whole wheat toast with peanut butter. Now your brain, you identify and go, man, there's a lot of calories there. Your brain goes, well, you need that. Orange juice is healthy. I get the orange juice with calcium in it. The wheat bread is healthy for me. And the peanuts give me some oil and it allows me to sleep better. In the past you may have gone along with that. That's your your reasoning for that, and that made sense to you in the past. Don't get caught up in that emotion. Simply ask yourself, is this helping me live in a healthy body? Yes or no? How do you answer that question? Well, let's look at the calories here. Alright, I figured out that the glass of orange juice, the 2 pieces of wheat toast with peanut butter on them, is 650 calories. Alright? Yes, I could justify that orange juice is healthy for me, but can I find that nutrition in a different way with less calories? The answer to that question is yes. The question becomes, can I continue to do this habit and get to my goal of living in a healthy body? And consuming 600 and some calories before bed, the answer is no. It'd be very difficult, if not impossible, to do that. So then you can see it as what it is and make those choices for what they are, rather than get caught up in the emotion of it because of that internal embarrassment of thinking you're doing something wrong, and that hardwired response that we all have of mistakes and failures are bad, and we run away from that. And that comes from our programming as kids. So this is so important. A lot of times we need a friend to help us with this. Some of the things that we don't know are in our way. The great thing about working with someone online is the anonymity. The anonymity allows you to open up more. That's so important in working with your eating habits and having someone to bounce things off of. Saying, you know what? Is it healthy to have a glass of orange juice and 2 slices of wheat toast with peanut butter for bed? What if I had a half a glass of orange juice and just one slice of wheat bread with peanut butter? Do you think that would be okay? Your coach can give their opinion. Or your coach can go, you know what? I had a similar issue. This is what I did. And that can make all the difference in the world to have that support, just to have someone to help you brainstorm and to be an emotional support that's anonymous to you. That isn't a friend or someone live face to face where the emotions start to boil up and you just really lose the ability to think about something from a conscious, realistic viewpoint without the emotions coming in. So I encourage you to go to newbodychoice.net and find yourself an eating coach to help you with your eating habits. Hope that makes total sense to you. This is Dave Erickson. Live by choice.